Welcome everyone to the initial Zoom session. In the past we've used GoToTraining, now we're switching to Zoom, so I'm getting used to how this works and seeing my own face. Hi. Okay, so let's get rolling. Welcome to English class. English composition, I'm looking forward to working with all of you this month. Normally I have slides to go through, but because I'm just not super comfortable with how everything works yet, we're going to keep things very simple and keep the focus here, okay? All of you can see the screen, right? I'm sharing my screen so you can see as I scroll up and down here. So this is a look at our class. Hopefully a lot of you have gone through this stuff already. Course overview, meet your instructor. That's important because that lists like when you can best contact me. I'm a night owl, so my days typically don't begin until 2 p.m. and then they go to like midnight. So that's the best time to reach me. Professionalism is a month-long activity. Okay, so soon, probably by the end of the week, no later than Monday of next week, I'm just going to enter a 100 for everyone. And then deductions happen later if needed, okay? But that is a month-long grade, so nobody should panic if you didn't complete the assignment by March 3rd, because some people freak out and think they got a 0 for professionalism. No, you didn't, it's a month-long grade. McGraw-Hill, are we registered, everyone over there? We have Taisha with us and a mystery person, because it looks like a lot of people are using self-generated IDs. So whoever student 18329 is, I hope we're all registered. Let's see, is there an easier way for me to get back and forth to the chat? Yes, okay, good. Taisha already has, I'm hoping I'm saying that name correctly, is already signed up. McGraw-Hill is a cinch. In fact, let me see if I can get there real quickly. McGraw-Hill. So I do want to show just how easy this is. Log in. Okay. And this is us, March. I'm going to show the student view. And you can see everything's organized by weeks. So week 1, open the thing, and here are the readings. The readings are really short. Like you click on them, click begin, and you just have to read the text itself. You can skip whatever's in green. If there are any sort of thought activities or suggested activities, you don't have to do them. You just have to read the words. I'm okay with some skimming or reading for gist, okay? It doesn't mean you skip everything, but it's more important that you get the gist of what things are being mentioned in the readings rather than, because you're not gonna be quizzed or tested on it. But students tend to do better if they keep up and at least understand the gist of what's being discussed here, okay? But it's that simple, okay? They're just readings organized by week. So we have to talk about, really, this is going to mostly focus on week 1. I keep these lectures short and focused and relevant because I don't like to filibuster or waste too much time. Just some real quick kind of overview stuff. The quickest way to get in touch with me is just to use the messaging system here on FSO, right? This is where I'm most likely to see that you've written me something. Very few students use email anymore. I still think of email as something amazing, but that's because I'm old. For younger people, they think of email as like this antiquated thing that's as difficult as the old days where people had to actually write on paper, and stick in an envelope and put a stamp on it. But yeah, I've gotten used to not always checking email, traditional email, because we have this messaging system, right? Where you can just send me a message. So yeah, please use the FSO platform. The other thing I have to go over is the late policy. So assignments have due dates. So the first thing that's up this week is a discussion-based activity, which we'll go over in a second. Part of it's due tomorrow night, March 4th, and the other part is due Sunday. Be careful. Other weeks, things are always going to be due on a Wednesday, one activity, and then the major activity due on Sunday. A midweek activity that's due on a Wednesday, and then a major activity that's due on a Sunday. So don't get confused, because it's only in week 1 when we have this kind of discussion-based activity where things are split up. But if you don't get something handed in on time, still do it, complete it, okay? The only people who don't pass this class are the ones who skip assignments or complete assignments, but then I have no idea what they handed in. I look at the assignment and think, what is this? This isn't following instructions. I have no idea what I'm looking at. All students who put in a good effort pass this class. And they pass it with ease, usually with an A or a B. Okay, it's really difficult to get lower than that. One, because I'm an easy grader, even though students don't think that sometimes, because if they receive a 75 or an 80, they panic. But the class is set up in such a way that you can make up the points elsewhere. So yeah, very few students who complete all work and do it with effort earn lower than a B. Okay, so there's no reason why anybody shouldn't be passing this class. This class isn't something to be frightened of. Normally I have a slide that discusses the importance of why you're taking this class. Let me take a sip of my coffee. I'm not going to show that slide because, as I said, I'm learning Zoom for the first time tonight. But it simply shows a statistic about how 97% of, I think it's employers care about writing skills. And the other one was a quotation about the importance of writing. The truth is, I don't need to go over the importance of the class because I think people understand that being able to write well, to be able to communicate is important. And if students carry any baggage into this class of either fear or concern, it's usually because they've had a bad experience in the past. They feel like they've gotten beaten up on, or their previous English classes made them feel stupid. But that's not this class, okay? Writing is not a born skill. Anybody who tells you that it is lying. Okay? Anybody can improve in their writing, but they have to make a dedicated effort to do so. And it takes time. Okay? It takes longer than these 4 weeks. Just as anything, learning to play the piano, learning to sculpt, learning any skill. There's an apprenticeship period, and then you kind of go up over time. So yeah, writing is not like language acquisition, where if you don't learn how to speak by a certain age, you never will. Anybody can learn to improve their writing immediately. And I think people know this, right? I don't really bump into people who argue the opposite. Writing is important. Who cares? I always say, show me an example of a successful person who can't speak or write well. I mean, sure, you can maybe sometimes find the occasional example, an athlete who made a lot of money, but even in those cases, usually the athlete is pretty bright, right? Like LeBron's a pretty bright guy. Big name musicians or actors are pretty bright people as well. So it's not a case I really have to make. Again, it's usually baggage that people bring into the class. People just kind of intuitively know that they see things in the world that strike them as pretty well written and recognize that, and maybe even wish that I would like to be able to do that. Well, you can, okay? And then I'll spare this speech about how it's important for getting jobs and all that stuff, but it is, okay? People can sense when someone can communicate well and when someone cannot. Okay, so let's take a look at week 1. So we've got 2 graded activities, which is going to be the focus for the rest of this session. One is this guy here, okay, the 1.3 activity, a tale of 2 bios. Then we'll get to the second assignment later. These are both pretty easy assignments, okay, in the sense that they're not difficult, I think, to understand. So let's take a look at the first one. You can read through the instructions on your own, but it's easier for me just to show what you need to do. You basically have to write a bio about yourself. Okay, so you're going to introduce yourself, but you're going to do it 2 ways. The first way is going to be written for peers, people like your friends, people you know, family, okay, people who are close to you. And this is going to be written in first person, so you can use I. The second version is going to be written for a professional audience. And this is going to be in third person. That means you're going to refer to yourself. Well, let me just show the example, okay? It's easier to do this. Now, I have it open somewhere. Let's see, that's for later. That I can take down now. That's when I wasn't sure if people could hear me. Here we go. Okay, so here's what you need to do. You're going to have 1 paragraph labeled for peers. Okay, this is written in first person, and then 1 for professionals. So I'm going to read this quickly out loud. I know it's not the most interesting thing in the world, but I'll do it quickly. And just notice the differences, right? Like in tone and style between the 2. So the one written for peers. Imagine that this would be something that's about in my About Me section on like a website or a blog. Okay, this one says, hello campers, my name is David. I'm a teacher. I've been here at Full Sail for nearly 5 years. I should actually say 7 years now. And before this, I bounced around a lot. I was born in Chicagoland, but I've also lived in, take a deep breath, Galesburg, Illinois, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Athens, Ohio, Palma de Mallorca, Spain, Columbia, Missouri, and now Orlando, Florida. I'm passionate about all things writing related. I earned my bachelor's degree in English, fiction writing emphasis from Knox College, and I earned my master's degree again, creative writing from Ohio University. I even started working toward a doctoral degree, but then my mother said, "You're 35 and still in school?" And so I entered the workforce. In my spare time, I play piano, marathon watch films and television shows, and read lots of books. Serious stuff like literary fiction and political stuff, but my guilty pleasure is page turners. You know, Twilight series, occasional sci-fi or fantasy novel, stuff like that. Oh, and I watch a lot of sports. I'm a lifelong Chicago Cubs fan, and though I used to follow the NFL, I now know nothing about that league because I only watch college football. So there's my bio for peers. Now here's the professional version. So notice in the first one, I'm using I, okay? I. Here I don't. So this one reads, David Sussman has been teaching college level courses for nearly 20 years. He holds degrees in creative writing from Knox College and Ohio University. Previous to coming to Full Sail, David has taught at institutions in Alabama, Illinois, and Missouri. Currently, David teaches English composition at Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. He is a committed educator who is passionate about writing. In his free time, David enjoys playing piano, viewing films, reading books, and watching his two favorite sports, Major League Baseball and college football. Notice, it's the same information. It's the exact same information. It's just here, because it's addressed to peers, I relax a bit. I use my voice, right? You can tell it in things like hello campers, or even the specific verbs like I bounced around a lot. Probably wouldn't phrase things that way in the professional bio. Or even asides like take a deep breath, okay? But the I throughout, I, is telling you that it's written from my voice, okay? But here, I'm writing in third person. And it might seem awkward, but just get used to it, okay? So if your name is Taisha Willis, you will say Taisha Willis is currently studying blah, blah, blah at Full Sail University. It might feel awkward at first, but you'll get used to it, okay? But notice it covers the same information. It's just I don't go into as much detail because guess what? Professionals don't care about what I specifically like to read, like the Twilight books or sci-fi or fantasy, or who my favorite baseball team is, or why I no longer watch the NFL. No, it's just I cut out the fat, okay? But this is essentially what you're going to do. So 2 paragraphs, 2 bios, both covering the same material. Just one is going to be addressed to people you know, written in first person. The other one's going to be written in third person, and it's going to be more professional. Once you have both paragraphs, you're just going to copy them. And I do recommend first writing in Microsoft Word, because then you can go up to the tools and use spelling and grammar to check things. And then you're going to go to the board and post it, okay? Don't think that anybody has, oops, didn't mean to do that. I always forget how I need to go in. I think I need to go in this way. I need to move things around because things you can't see are blocking me. Here it is, discussion. Oops. This way. Yeah, go to discussion. Okay, so someone's already posted. And it looks like, yeah, he's following the rules. Hello there, my name is Brian Cole. And then here, Brian Cole is an industry professional. So that looks good. So yeah, the 2 paragraphs are supposed to be posted by tomorrow night at midnight. And then you have Sunday to write a response to someone's postings. My advice is to take time and don't just write a single sentence. Sure, you can respond to what they said in terms of if you see someone has the same interests or has mentioned something that interests you, but also if you can, try to be helpful. So if you notice something, like a common thing is the professional paragraph isn't written in third person. Now in this case, Brian's is, so that's fine. But even if you notice things like Full Sail should be 2 words, okay? Shouldn't be smashed together. Take time to point those things out. Try to be helpful, try to be friendly, try to be thoughtful, but yeah, don't rush through the response because I'm supposed to take points off if it's like a really short response that was clearly just written in 2 seconds. So take the time to actually communicate with the other person. I know, they don't always respond back, but sometimes they do, okay? Sometimes people are open to that. So just take the response part seriously. And let's see, let me go back to here. Okay, so yeah, the 2 paragraphs are due tomorrow night. The whole thing is due with the classmate response by Sunday. Truth is, I'm not going to grade these until Monday afterwards. So I don't think it's a good idea to save everything until Sunday, because then you may not get a response to what you've posted. But yeah, I mean, if you get your 2 paragraphs posted on Thursday or Friday, that's probably fine. The discussion board doesn't prevent you from doing so. Just be aware that in subsequent weeks, you're not going to have this everything due on Sunday. Okay. Other weeks, you're going to have something definitely due on Wednesday and definitely due on Sunday. Any questions about this assignment, SAIL2 bios? I think it's pretty simple. Oh, I should point out also that every single assignment in this class, and I mean every single assignment, has examples, completed examples. So if we scroll down, you can look at someone else's example. This is from an instructor who used to be here. She's not with us anymore, but you can look at her 2 paragraphs. Okay, same thing. Okay, 1 paragraph written in first person. Hi, everyone. My name is Carly. I'm currently majoring in sports marketing. I think she made that up because she's not a student, she's an instructor. I'm totally obsessed with all things Big Ten football. So again, language, totally obsessed. Fine for this paragraph, addressed to peers. But notice she covers the exact same information in her second paragraph. This one also is nice because they're kind of equal in balance in length, whereas with mine, the one addressed to peers is like twice the length of the other one. So here you can see an example of 2 that are relatively similar in length. But it, again, covers the exact same information. Okay, any questions about what you need to do here? The writing of 2 paragraphs, posting to the board, responding thoughtfully to at least one person's posting. Yeah, Taisha, go ahead. Use the chat, please, because I'm having problems with audio in that I can speak, but I can't hear people if they speak. It's super annoying. Basically, the tip of my earbud plug broke off inside my MacBook. So yeah, it's super frustrating. So I apologize for that. It should be more dynamic and fluid, our ability to talk back and forth. But I will ask you to type in the chat. With the more professional paragraph, are we writing as if someone else is introducing us? No, that's a good question. I do see that sometimes. So no. So let's modify this to Taisha Willis. Okay, this is you writing about yourself. This isn't like your boss imagining that he or she is writing about Taisha. Okay, that's why I said it feels a little bit unnatural, but it's not once you get the hang of it. A simpler way to do it is just to, like eliminate this, because in third person you wouldn't say hi everyone, because that would be your voice, and just change things around. Okay, so instead of saying my name is, it would be Taisha Willis is currently majoring in sport marketing. She is, instead of saying totally obsessed, because that's a little bit too chatty for a professional, you would say she is interested in sports, or you get it, okay? You can only see the screen that has the examples. Okay, but can you see what I'm doing here, typing and such? Or is it still on a different screen? Let me figure this out. How is great. Okay, yeah, that's something I do not like about this new thing, that I have to actually choose where I want things to be. Okay. So now you see my 2 paragraphs, right? These are the ones I read out loud. So I apologize. Again, this is really not intuitive. On GoTo, as soon as you share your screen, you can jump from window to window and you can see whatever I am focusing on. Now I have to actually select what I want you to see. So yeah, just take a moment to scan. I read this out loud. It probably you couldn't pay much attention because I was reading out loud and you had no idea why you're still staring at the old screen. We'll get this straightened out in future weeks now that I'm learning it. This is the problem of using Zoom first time on the fly. Okay, so, and here's the other one I was just talking about. Okay, this is the one that you have as a completed example, right? And I started typing here, like Taisha Willis is pursuing her Bachelor of Science degree. But yeah, you're not writing it as if you were someone else writing about you. You're writing about yourself. You're just making the awkward move of referring to yourself not as someone else. And again, it's difficult to describe. It's just you have to make that switch in your brain. Okay, you see it now. Most people do see it, but I do get occasionally someone gets confused and they start writing like a letter of recommendation about themselves. So it's like Tysha Willis is a terrific student. I recommend her highly, and I'm like, who is his voice? um, Again, it's an awkward move, but you once you get used to it, and there are times where you'll have to do things like this. Okay, so oops, let me see, new share. Okay, so now you should be seeing this again. Yeah, there are times where you'll have to, I mean, not often, but like this was literally taken from a biography that I wrote for an online resume that I have, where I had to have an opening statement. And yeah, I wrote about myself, not with my I voice, but for someone else to see. Okay. Really, this is an exercise in voice. So you understand the difference between writing for peers and writing for professionals, and switching even point of view, first person versus third person. I think there is value in doing that. Okay. But here, let's move on, because I think, so let me do back to here. This is so confusing. Okay, so we're done with this. The other main activities due Sunday. Okay, so this is kind of your like first major assignment, even though the one we just talked about is also worth 10% of your grade. So it's worth the same, but this is probably more important to what we're building toward. And what we're building toward is, okay, so we have these pairs of articles. So here's this week, you only see one of the articles. Like this week, there's one article on Jay-Z, one on video game addiction, one on Netflix and the streaming wars, one on Harry Potter, one on music streaming. And in week 2, you'll see the kind of another article on the exact same topic from a different point of view. Okay, so these are the pairs of articles I'm talking about. So understand that when you choose an article this week, like let's say you choose the Harry Potter article, you will also choose the Harry Potter article for week 2, okay? The second Harry Potter article. Right now, you just have to worry about picking one of these articles. My advice is to choose the one that you're most interested in and the one that you'll, down the road, feel comfortable responding to. You can choose your own article, but I suggest running it by me first, because I don't have that happen very often, but it means that you'd have to pick an article that fits the parameters. It has to come from a reputable publication. It has to be fairly well written and thoughtful. And then in week 2, you would have to find another article on the exact same topic that sort of takes the opposite point of view or a much different angle on the same topic. But we've kind of done that for you. Oh, the Harry Potter article is asking to pay a subscription. Well, let's see what happens. It might be that you've visited the Telegraph too many times. I sometimes get that. So if in your free time, you sometimes read an article in the Telegraph. Here, let me see. Yeah. Do you all see the Harry Potter screen, or do you still see the other screen? You see my Harry Potter screen, right? So yeah, it's asking, yeah, let me figure that out, okay? I'll get to it somehow, even if I have to start my free trial and copy and paste it. Um, yeah, usually it happens because you visit the Telegraph too many times. This happens to me as well. And it's super annoying because for most people, it won't come up with this thing. But anyway, let's see. Start your free trial. Sign up with Facebook. Okay, I'm going to do this after. Already exists. No, that's not right. I know. I'll figure this out, and I'll maybe copy and paste it into a Microsoft Word document and put that up there. I'll get that taken care of tonight or tomorrow morning. Okay, for people who are facing the paywall. But for now, let me get back to, you'll choose an article. Another thing is, I wonder what happens if I just, sometimes there are alternate ways to read it. You can't be serious about Harry Potter. So this is a Telegraph one. It doesn't look like it's anywhere else. Okay, I'll figure it out though. Paywalls, so annoying. Okay, but once you do choose an article, you'll read it carefully and then write a 300 to 400 word summary. That's it, okay? You're gonna write a summary. A summary is simply a concise overview of what the article is about. So you're not speaking about the article yet, okay? So, and you get some tips here, okay? So the summary should include the article's thesis or its main argument or position. So for the Harry Potter article, I already tell you in advance. The argument is that Harry Potter should not be considered serious literature or should not be designated as literary. It has its value, it has its good points. It's certainly contributing something to culture, but no, it should not get the designation of being literary. Okay, so that's kind of like the article's thesis. Then the most main points in the article, okay? Or key ideas or examples. And I have a separate document here on tips for writing a summary, so I'm gonna skip this part. And you do have to follow APA formats. But for this assignment, APA is really simple. All you have to do is be able to follow layout rules and create a reference, which I'm going to show in real time, okay? But first, let me show you the tips I have for writing summaries. Here, let's close some stuff. Let's close this because we don't need that anymore. No, don't save. I think I also have to speed things up because if I remember correctly, Zoom does not have unlimited time. Okay. You know what? I might just end up uploading last month's video for the people who aren't attending live because if I get cut off, screen sharing is stopped. Okay, but yeah, I'm going to fix that. Bear with me. Share screen. There we go. But why is it not showing up as an option? Here we go, got it. Okay, so this is important stuff. So you can either skip to this part in the video after it's uploaded, or you can take a screenshot. But here's some do's and don'ts. Okay, so do include the author's name early on in the summary, as well as the author's overall thesis. Include the article's most important main points, okay? Provide an accurate, concise overview of the article. In other words, a perfect stranger should be able to read your summary and understand what the article is about. Write in third person, so there's no I here, because it's summary, okay? You're just summarizing the contents. And it should be in present tense, so the author's main argument is, not was. Smith's next point is, not was. Okay, the article exists now. So no I, and try to remember to write as if the article exists now. Discuss the article's ideas in your own words. So there's no quoting, no borrowing exact wording from the text. You're stating things in your own words. Don'ts, they're kind of the flip side, okay? Do not include an exhaustive paraphrase of every sentence or idea. In other words, avoid giving a walkthrough of the article, starting at the top of the article and walking your way through every paragraph, okay? Again, a summary is concise. It's an overview. Do not just cherry pick one interesting point and ignore the rest. Do not include your own opinions. Okay, that comes later. And do not quote the article. What we're trying to do here is make sure that you've read 2 articles in weeks 1 and 2, that you understand its content by writing short summaries, and then in weeks 3 and 4, you get to respond. You know, there are a lot of people out there that are excellent at giving opinions. They're awesome at giving opinions, but not so great at, when you go online, right? You go to a comment section and sometimes people write comments, clearly haven't read the article. We'd like to see less of that. Taking the time to understand what you've read first and then responding, okay? Which you will get to do in the second half of the class. So here's the structure to follow. This should be a multi-paragraph essay or summary. okay? So it's not one ginormous paragraph. So you should have maybe an introduction paragraph where you name the author and title. Explain in a sentence or two what the article is about. For example, video game addiction. Explain what the author's thesis or main stance or main argument is. Video game is this is the Mark Lewis article, by the way. His thesis is that video game addiction is overstated and should not be classified as a disorder. Then have separate paragraphs for the most important points or examples from the article. And then if possible, a short conclusion. Now, again, like I said, every assignment comes with examples. Oops, I have to reshare my screen to here, I think. Ooh, how about, no, that's not right. How about here? Okay, right? So here you have an example. If we look at the example, this is on a completely different article on the Big Bang Theory, is better at portraying geekdom than the haters admit. He follows or she follows this logic, okay? So it mentions the author's name, Noel Murray, what it's about. It's a response to the recent conversation surrounding this television show. And then the author's argument is, so it's following exactly that, okay? So it mentions the author. It spends a sentence or two generally describing what the article is about. It captures what the author's main argument is, and then it spends other paragraphs addressing the most important main points mentioned in the article. Okay, so you need to do the same. And then there's a reference at the end. And this is what I'm going to spend the last few minutes doing, which is showing in real time how to set up the paper. Okay, so I've opened up a blank Microsoft Word document. It needs to be in Times New Roman, 12-point font. It also needs to be double spaced. So we're going to change it from 1.0 to 2.0. Okay, and then you put your name. So I'll just use Taisha since she's with us. Then comes what? I think it's the name of the, oops, I got to share my screen. This is driving me crazy. Okay, so I changed it to Times New Roman. I put it from 1.0 to 2.0. So your name, I think next comes the name of the class. English. Composition. And then the name of the assignment, 1.5, pop culture bites. And then you can center a title, for example, summary of, I can't remember the name of the Harry Potter article, so we'll just say Harry Potter article, okay? And then we just hit enter once. We begin on the left side of the page, so I'm going to use the align left tool. The first line of a new paragraph should be indented, so I'm going to hit tab just once, and you can start typing your summary. Now I'm going to copy this so I can fill up a whole bunch of space. When you reach the end of a sentence and type period, you hit your space bar twice. 1, 2, keep going. 1, 2, oops. Okay. Because some people have it truly single spaced and then they treat Microsoft Word like a typewriter. So when they get near the end of the page, they hit enter twice, but that creates problems. If you have double spacing set up, you can just fill up a whole bunch of space. Now I'm going to grab all this so I can fill up even more space. So we can pretend. So, oh, when you get to the end of a paragraph, hit enter just once. Not twice, not 3 times, just once. Hit tab to indent and keep going. Enter once, tab, keep going. Now let's say your summary ends somewhere around here. Okay. You will type the word references, which will be centered. And even though you're only going to list one reference, the name of the article you summarize, still it's references. Okay, so there's no bolding, no italicizing, there's no colon. It's not called works cited. It's not called bibliography. It's just called references. We hit enter once. And we create our reference. So let me use a real example. Let me go back to, where's my desktop? Where'd it go? Here it is. That doesn't look right. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. Can I get enough information about this? Can't be serious about Harry Potter. See, now I'm not getting that paywall. So maybe just have to try it again, Taisha. But we have every. Oh, now it comes up. For a second there, I thought we had it. Nuts. How about I stop it? Anyway, we have an author's name, a date. I think I can remember those details. So let me show you in real time how to create a reference. Okay, so we begin on the left. Rainey, last name, comma, space, first initial, her name is Sarah, period, space, parentheses, we put the date, and we put the full date, 2012. I can't remember what the date was, so let's say April. You don't shorten it to this. You type out the full name. Let's say it was April 14th, okay, period. Then the title of the article, and this is goofy, okay? If you can remember this, you'll impress me. You capitalize as you would a regular sentence. So, you can't be serious about Harry Potter, period. And then the title of the publication, so in this case, it's the Telegraph. And then you just need the URL. Nuts. I thought I had it copied. Hold on, let me get the URL. Okay. Now it's going to do this. So you have to make sure that it's still in Times New Roman, which it is. I hate when it highlights the links, so I always remove it. Hyperlink, remove hyperlink. We do have to fix it. It shouldn't be single spaced, so we need to put it back in double spacing. And it follows opposite rules for indentation. So in a normal paragraph, we indent the first line of a new paragraph, but not the other lines. The references, it's the exact opposite. We do not indent the first line, but we do indent any other lines. So we just highlighted it, grab the bottom half of this hourglass, and drag it half an inch. Boom, there's a reference. And if you look at the example, okay, where's the example? Here it is. You can also imitate this, same thing, okay? Author's last name, comma, first initial, date in parentheses, title of the article, capitalize as you would a regular sentence. So the Big Bang Theory gets capitalized because we capitalize the titles of television shows, okay? And we also italicize the names of television shows. We italicize the name of the publication, which in this case is The Verge, and then we have the web address, which is the exact same thing that I did here. Okay, so you have two ways to go about it. You can go back to this video and study what I did and just follow along, or you can open up that example and do the exact same thing. Okay, and then same for the other steps I showed you, like how to do this, how it should all be in Times New Roman, how to set up paragraphs, because APA format is the style system used in all Full Sail classes. It doesn't disappear because English class is over. And I'm pretty easygoing with APA, although I do deduct points when it's not followed. But there are some instructors that are real sticklers. I mean, I used to work in the writing center, and otherwise excellent work would still receive a low grade. Why? Because they didn't follow APA format. So your ability to just do this, create double-spaced paragraphs in Times New Roman 12-point font with the first lines of new paragraphs indented, your ability to create a basic reference, and later, in week 3, we'll get to in-text citations. If you can do that, okay, follow basic paragraphing rules, create a simple reference, create a simple in-text citation, you're fine. But you do have to get it down, okay? I promise you it's not difficult, but it is difficult if you don't attend the lectures or look at the examples or read through the instructions, then it becomes very difficult. but it's not difficult at all. Really, I can do this in my sleep. And I didn't understand APA at all before I came to Full Sail. I only knew MLA. So that's what I want to cover. Questions, comments? I was trying to race through things because I read somewhere that Zoom only has like a 45 minutes, although we're past that point, or we're getting close to it. So I hope I didn't go through the things too quickly. And I know the bouncing around between screens is super confusing because Zoom, I have to actually select what I want you to see. Like this Microsoft Word document, not that Microsoft Word document, or this web screen. It's a little bit goofy. If you are comfortable with what we've gone over, you don't have to stay. Okay. I thank you so much for this first session. I'll decide afterward whether I'm going to post this video or just a video from last month where I covered the exact same thing. I'll decide whether and I will, Taisha, figure out I'll get you a version of the Harry Potter article so that you can read it. But I will hang out for a little bit if people do have questions. Use the chat though, please. Though you might have to click around to find it. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. If I can figure out how to do that. Here, I'll let it record. Taisha says trying to decide between article Jay-Z and Harry Potter. Yeah, they're both, I don't know, they're both challenging in different ways. The Harry Potter one is probably easier in some ways because it's kind of unfair because I haven't explained what we're working toward completely, but you will respond to the articles you summarize in weeks 1 and 2. So this one by Sarah Rainey is basically asking you to weigh in on whether Harry Potter should be considered serious literature. The Jay-Z one is a bit more complicated because it deals with the NFL and Colin Kaepernick. But the Jay-Z ones are kind of both on point in weeks 1 and week 2, whereas the next Harry Potter article is a little bit trickier. I don't know. Yeah, usually someone says Jay-Z article, but he needs to figure out the thesis statement. Usually it's identified pretty early on, like in the first paragraph or two. Or once you've read the article through the first time, you should be able to read through it again and kind of spot early on, like what there are. And if thesis is too complicated of a term, just think about like their overall stance. Like, why are they writing this? What do they want you to understand? Like if you had to boil that entire article down to one sentence, like Mark Lewis is arguing that video game addiction is overstated and that it should not be classified as a disorder. Or Sarah Rainey says that while the Harry Potter books do have value, they should not be considered serious literature, right? So try to boil down. I forget who writes the first Jay-Z article? Is it Peters? Micah Peters? Yeah, that would be like the thesis, okay? So don't get confused because I know thesis is kind of a formal sounding word, but it's really that. Like, what is its overall main point or argument or claim or takeaway? Yeah, Tyson, I'll get you that article. Actually, I'll get it done tonight, okay? Let's see, how do I stop the recording now? Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording now.